morning, guys. There are new alarming allegations about what could have been done to prevent the assassination attempt here in Butler, Pennsylvania. As you mentioned, Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he's heard from a whistleblower, and this is very disturbing. The senator summarized this on X, writing, quote, "Whistleblower tells me Secret Service Acting Director Rowe personally directed cuts to the Secret Service agents who do threat assessments for events. Whistleblower says those agents were not present in Butler. We brought that allegation to the Secret Service, who told us, quote, we respect the senator and the role of oversight and will respond to the request through official channels. This as all eyes turn to today's news conference with the Secret Service to see whether we'll get more answers about the communication failures during the assassination attempt. One of them, when Acting Director Rowe testified before Congress earlier this week that there was a 30-second window between when a local officer first spotted the would-be assassin's gun and the first shots. The urgent warning was broadcast over the local law enforcement radio system, but Rowe testified that it never made it to the Secret Service agents directly protecting Trump. Today's news conference begins at 2 p.m. Eastern, and all of this comes as the medical examiner shares with local media the official cause of death for gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks. He ruled it as a single gunshot wound to the head. Back to you.
Orange train rolling, we do a little trolling, dodge that bullet and take back what was stolen. The God Emperor of the universe rises again. The time traveler, adventurer is rising, rising. The great American spirit is rising again. 4-7, forever, forever, until the very end. Fight to the very end. Fight, 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 fight.
Ooh, man, I like that music, ladies and gentlemen. We are learning so many horrifying things about the Killbox they put Trump in, and that's what I'm going to call it. You can try and stop me. It's the Killbox. It's the Killbox. We are coming in hot this morning, and please apologize, the slight delay in programming. We are doing our very best. I will explain to you what happened this morning and why we're delayed. You will very, very much like it because it has to do with the topic of today's show. The topic of today's show is, did they want to kill President Trump? And the answer to that question is yes. Yes, they wanted to kill Trump. And the reason why we can say that emphatically, and we don't lie to you and have never lied to you, and if we get something wrong, we'll say it, and we'll show you how we got it wrong, and we'll explain. The reason why we can say that emphatically on this program, ladies and gentlemen, is because gross negligence and incompetence is indistinguishable from malevolence. That sounds like a frilly frou-frou word package, but it's pretty simple. If you put enough stupid people, in layman's terms, which I went to community college, okay? I'm from the hog fields of Iowa. In layman's terms, like I could understand, okay? Explain things to me like I'm a golden retriever. Enough stupid people doing stupid things will lead to horrible outcomes. Always. That's what it means. And that's what we're going to find out today. There's a Secret Service briefing today, ladies and gentlemen. That's how panicked they are about the new information that we are now learning about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania on J13. Today is Friday, 2nd August 2024, year of our Lord. Whistleblower reveals bombshell about Secret Service director. Turns out that this guy was a baddie the entire time. Man, if only there was somebody who knew about that from square one. Kamala speaks without a teleprompter for the first time, and then Joe Biden literally has his brain break live. Joe Biden is no longer with us. We can show you that, literally, on camera. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be joined on this program by some of the world's greatest experts in what actually happened in the field in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. What keeps us powered, because boy, we've been working all night on a special project, and we're going to give you a preview of that special project in just a moment. We've been teasing out a documentary that you've inspired us to do. 1 week ago, we went to Butler, Pennsylvania. We have been burning the midnight oil, as they say, working on a documentary, something that we have to get up quickly because it is prescient, because new information is happening all the time, and we wish to become the anchor point for information about what actually happened. Your government has lied to you. You have been lied to by the feds about this date. You will see in our documentary more information and more clarity about what happened on that day than anything you've gotten from the Secret Service or the FBI. The FBI has 60 days to do their report. The FBI director has already lied to you. Christopher Wray said that maybe Donald Trump was hit by shrapnel. That is a demonstrable, verifiable, empirical lie. The Secret Service has lied to you 5 times. We are going to prove what actually happened to the best of our abilities and recreate that day, and we did so. This takes a lot of effort. We're going to play you an exclusive clip of what we're cooking up in the kitchen in just a second. But first, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we have the energy to go forward is found right here in this holy grail set before you. First is the logo of the brigade. This is the logo of the brigade. The cannon at the very end of the tank is a salt shaker, and it has a salt logo on it. You, the Benny Brigade, keep us charged and going. Inside of this holy goblet is also Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee is what powers us and what powers our show. We love their product. It is full this morning, 3rd or 4th cup. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not young and hip with the Zyn, so I like power myself with just black coffee, as it were. Shall I get addicted to the Zyn? I do not know. My wife tells me no. She says, no, don't do it. I don't know. Are you on Zyn? Good old Klein over here offering me Zyn off camera. Klein's over here trying, jangling it in front of my face. Jangle it in front of the. You can show the people. Show the people. Klein's over here, little. This is how tempting it is. This is how tempting it is right now.
6 milligram.
It's tempting. Klein is jangling the keys. I'm like a little cat with a laser pointer. Ladies and gentlemen, my laser pointer points right at Blackout Coffee every single morning. It is the coffee that keeps our program uncompromised and going. No grift. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com. Be awake, not woke. You can also find them on Public Square. So, ladies and gentlemen, we move forward, Zyn or not, into what will be an incredible season for us at this program, because we will be releasing our first full-scale documentary on the Trump assassination. Maybe not our last. We wish to become your anchor point for actual news, and more importantly, because of the support that you give us, and we take all of the revenues of this company and pour them back into the company through storytelling, fact-finding, and through speaking truth. And that is what we do. We've done that at the RNC, and we've now done this in Butler, and we intend to do this more. When there is a moment of horror or a moment that needs proper reporting, we will go there on the ground. What you are supporting is a new version, a new, extremely exciting hybrid media that is built for you, built for the chat. I see this chat absolutely rolling this morning. What up to the chat? We love you. We thank you. And we say, this is for you. This is a small taste of the documentary that we are putting together for you, the chat. This is an important moment, and the final thing I'll say on it is we have been breaking our necks and our backs in order to get this done. The reason why is because we care about taking the energy from the chat, from this audience, and actually delivering value. You, maybe you can't go to Butler every single day. Maybe you can't grab some members of Congress and snipers and go out there and hit the bricks with your cameras. Maybe you can. I encourage you to do so if you can. But we can be your advocate. We listen to the chat. We listen to the polls. We read your comments, and we say, and you said, go. Everyone else is effing us here and lying to us. Go. The Secret Service is lying to us. Go. And we went. And it is It is our obligation to you. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is the first 60 seconds of our documentary premiering this weekend, The Trump Killbox. Heart racing, the assassin holds his breath and looks down the scope at President Trump. People scream he's got a gun as police officers surround the building. But nobody has stopped him, just a football field away from the president. Counter snipers see the threat, but have not engaged. The trigger is pulled. A bullet rips through Trump's ear. Blood splatters Trump's MAGA hat and pours down his face onto his hands. 7 more bullets riddle the stage, killing members of the audience. Counter sniper teams engage and miss, then hit. Trump rises in defiance of death itself, fist in the air, fight, fight, fight. These 20 seconds in Pennsylvania will change America forever. How did this happen? The government has told us nothing. In fact, the Secret Service has lied to the American people multiple times about that day. So I traveled myself to the assassination site to investigate. The truth that we found is far worse than you can possibly imagine. This is the Trump Killbox. Part of the reason why we were a few minutes late this morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I was busy recording our final pass of voiceover for this. We have done deep research for this project. We will take you to the sniper's location. We stood in the pool of blood where Thomas Crook sat. We went where the Secret Service sniper sat. Nobody has gotten access to this. Not Fox News, not anyone. The federal government is the only people that have had access to these locations, and we used our muscular relationship with members of Congress to get in, and then, once there, we will show you some shocking realities of that day. It is our obligation to you, and we are thankful for this audience, and we are thankful to you. We are very excited about the quality of the production also that we are putting together, and this team is rocking. Baby. This team is grabbing the energy of the moment and going to carry it forward. So thank you for investing and supporting us simply by watching. That's it. Simply by watching the program, watching and subscribing to the channel, you support us, and we are going to take that very, very seriously. We're going to take getting to our first story of the day, we are going to take our obligation to show you the truth about what happened, and our obligation to investigate and research what actually happened on J13 far more seriously than the Secret Service. That's become very evident. Secret Service whistleblower makes stunning claim about director who replaced Kim Cheadle. Says the agents warned of problems for months before Trump's assassination attempt. A shocking and stunning revelation, again, from Josh Hawley, Senator Hawley. I think it's probably worth popping up Senator Hawley's whistleblower tweet here, and we'll reverse back from there through everything that Senator Hawley has shown us, and we're going to tie in some of the revelations that we got on the ground. This is your clearinghouse for true and accurate information about Donald Trump's assassination. New whistleblower tells me Secret Service Acting Director Rowe personally directed cuts to the Secret Service agents who do threat assessments for events. Whistleblowers say that those agents were not present in Butler. Some of them had warned about the security problems for months of that specific location. Well. What do we have here? Let's zoom on in on what the senator says, and the senator has been impeccable in his sourcing here, and, we've been speaking with some of the snipers as well. A whistleblower alleges that you personally directed, and he's writing there to Acting Director Rowe, who you saw testify. We were live on this channel. Perhaps you saw the social media clips if you weren't able to catch it live. You saw him testify. And while he was certainly giving more information than Cheadle, he actually lied on multiple occasions, became incensed, was shaking and yelling, and is clearly somebody who has a problem with oversight and authority. He refused to fire anyone. The major takeaway from that was an interaction. I believe it was with Hawley, but it might have been with Cruz. ALX and Robbie, let me know if I'm wrong on which one. And perhaps if we don't have already loaded, we'll load that up so you can get familiarized with Director Rowe, Acting Director Rowe, and his inability to hold anybody accountable, which seems to be an impossibility when it comes to a federal bureaucracy. So what happened? A whistleblower has alleged to my office at the Secret Service Counter-Sniper Division, a division that performs threat assessment of event sites before an event occurs, did not perform its typical evaluation of the Butler site and was not present that day. It's significant because the counter-sniper's duties include evaluating potential security threats outside of the perimeter and mitigating those threats during the event. The whistleblower claims that if personnel from the counter-sniper division had been present at the rally, the gunman would have been handcuffed in the parking lot after being spotted with a rangefinder. You acknowledge your security testimony that the American Glass Research Complex, this is the AGR building that the assassin fired from, should have been included in the security perimeter for the Butler event. The whistleblower alleges that because the Counter-Sniper Division was not present in Butler, the manifest shortcomings were never properly flagged or mitigated. The whistleblower furtherly alleges that you directed significant cuts up to and including reducing the division's manpower by 20%. You did not mention this in your Senate testimony when asked directly to explain manpower reductions. Goodness gracious. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here, but let's begin with this brand new whistleblower allegation, which we can independently confirm is absolutely what we've been hearing from snipers on the ground. This is a very, very important one to unpack, but it's quite simple, actually. Why don't we pull up, let's go ahead and pull up I might trade screens with you, Klein. I'm going to pull up a Google map of the actual rally location. Send me a link for the Google map of the rally location, because it's probably going to be easier to actually talk through this and show you on the map. You'll be incensed. I hope you're sitting down. I hope your coffee is like far away from you and you're not going to spill, because you're going to see this and you're going to scream with rage. There was a unbelievable story for us about a man who, when we were in Butler, came up, saw that we were there, came up and wanted to talk to us. He had seen us on Fox, because Fox, of all places, was flying a drone over us while we were in Butler. And so this guy saw that we were on Fox, came running. And he said that the days after, he had gone to just look around the site, and he was arrested. Get a load of this. This guy told us that he was arrested just because he wanted to peer into the site, and he brought his own rangefinder. Rangefinder is not an illegal item. We had a rangefinder while we were there. The rangefinder, you can go buy one at a firearms store, or any tactical store. He had himself a rangefinder, and he was just trying to scope out the locations just to see how far distances are away from each other. They're not deadly. It's just a little laser hits a surface, bounces back, tells you how far away it is. Not going to hurt anyone, unless I guess you threw it at them really hard. He said that the authorities arrested him for simply having a rangefinder on site. He also goes on to tell me that the authorities were told that that's common practice, and that anybody with a rangefinder who's lurking and leering around a presidential rally is going to immediately be put under arrest just on case of suspicion. If somebody is behaving the way that Thomas Crooks behaved under any other circumstance, meaning, don't you dare try that at a Kamala Harris event. Joe Biden's not having any events certainly not in the near future, or maybe ever again. We'll explain that later as we show you Joe Biden literally wandering off at an airport tarmac. He was on TV last night, and he just legitimately just wandered off. Didn't know who he was or where he was. It's incredible. Hostage plane landed, and he thought it was Air Force One. The president is not with us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are caught, if you are seen being suspicious, they don't even need the rangefinder. If you're doing what Thomas Crooks did at a normal event, then you will be arrested. This is why we say the Secret Service let Thomas Crooks take the shots. We know it definitively, and we will prove it to you. This whistleblower allegation from Hawley backs up what we were intending on talking about today. They let him in, and they let him take the shot. The end. The evidence is empirical. But if you, under normal operating procedure, and the Secret Service broke every procedure in the book to allow somebody to put a bullet through Trump's ear, they were aiming for his head, chest, or neck. The fact that President Trump is even with us is a living miracle right now. You have this layer of security that Thomas Crooks continued to bash his head against, and nobody did anything. Thomas Crooks tried to enter the rally. He was turned away. They saw that he had a rangefinder. That's not allowed. The people were spotting him from the ground and from law enforcement and saying, this guy's behaving like a sociopath. He was yelling. He was pulling his hair. Thomas Crooks was begging to be arrested. Thomas Crooks looked like an Antifa member, according to snipers we spoke with who were positioned that day at the rally. Our sources are impeccable. Thomas Crooks did everything he possibly could to get arrested. Thomas Crooks climbed up on the AGR building after being spotted for 2 solid hours, climbed up in an air conditioner unit, and then lumbered and lunked across the building with a gun. Nobody did anything. He was allowed to sit for minutes on end in his sniper position to shoot Trump. Nobody did anything. In that position, he exposed his entire head and torso to the Secret Service. Do we have the clip? He exposed his entire head and torso to the Secret Service. Can we play that? Because this is the newest clip you can see here. You see, and let's try and pause the clip right there. Okay, there you go. Hopefully, even if you're watching on a smaller screen, you can see here the head, the torso, and the firearm. And this is from a film from a crummy camera. The Secret Service have scopes that can see up to 3,000 yards. The Secret Service are all trained up to 2,000 yards. This is a pot shot for the Secret Service snipers. Why were the Secret Service snipers not able to take out Crooks here? Every conceivable layer of security Crooks passed through, and the velvet rope was opened by our feds for this maniac, Antifa member, far-left Joe Biden Democrat. It's time for us to actually label the guy correctly. Donor to Joe Biden, donor to far-left causes, Joe Biden supporter with a gun was allowed to sit on a rooftop right there, overlooking Trump. And the Secret Service denied the team that was sent in there to mitigate problems like this. That team was not allowed to go to Butler. Why? They're allowed to go other places. They're certainly allowed to go where Kamala Harris, Jill Biden is going, where Pete Buttigieg is going, Mayorkas. You better damn well believe they're crawling all over every surface of those visits. But a Trump visit to an open field, suddenly they're gone. It gets worse. It always gets worse. The whistleblower also alleges retaliation against those within the Secret Service who expressed concerns about the security at President Trump events. The whistleblower claims that following an event with former President Trump at a golf tournament in August last year, Secret Service personnel present expressed serious concerns about the Secret Service's use of local law enforcement was not adequate for security needs. Local law enforcement are not properly trained for the event and otherwise prepared to execute the tasks given to them. This is made exorbitantly clear with the team that we lovingly call the Lady Ghostbusters around Donald Trump. Local law enforcement were not properly trained for the event, otherwise prepared to execute. Further, Secret Service personnel expressed alarm that individuals were admitted to the event without vetting. The whistleblower alleges that those who raised such concerns were retaliated against. Incredible. Hawley goes on to request a series of documents from the Secret Service and then wants a breakdown of Secret Service personnel at the July 13th rally by division and unit. I await your response. These are bad days. It is becoming more clear with every passing moment that this was a kill box designed to kill President Trump. it's becoming more clear every time you see a new layer of this, that this was not incompetence, indistinguishable from malevolence. They're the same thing. I don't really care what's in your heart and soul. Don't need to look into it and see who you really are as a person. The incompetence or malevolence that added up here got Trump nearly killed, got members of the rally killed, and led, of course, to the president taking a bullet. That's enough to show you that they wanted it to happen. And as you begin to look through the layers of security failures and the astonishing decisions that were made that day, there is no other conclusion that you can come to. We continue, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Hawley, these are the series of revelations that Senator Hawley has come about in his investigation. One, there was supposed to be an officer stationed on that rooftop, but he abandoned his post. Well, that's strange. Who gave him the stand down order? We know as a matter of fact that the Secret Service is in total, complete command and control of law enforcement officers and their locations. The Secret Service tells law enforcement officers where they are stationed, how they are to behave at that station, and what their duties are in these events. We know this firsthand because we've heard from the law enforcement officers. We spoke with them for our documentary. So, who gave the stand down order? Who said, officer, you can come off that roof now? Who did that? Who ordered the stand down? The DHS. The Lady Ghostbusters, those aren't real Secret Service agents. I know this will come as a massive shock to you, given the fact that they were literally cowering and hiding behind President Trump. You remember the famous image of Donald Trump sitting there, bleeding from a bullet hole wound? And the Lady Ghostbuster using President Trump's body as a shield so that she doesn't get hit? Remember that famous image? There you go. Yep, there you go. Just an important, a famous image, an important moment in the history of the Secret Service. Really special. Put that one up on the wall. Just a reminder that the president's life is, well, not as important as yours. And isn't that the motto of the Secret Service? Use the president's body as a human shield. There are obviously honorable agents in this image. And actually, I spoke with Don Jr., who knows a number of these agents because these agents were assigned, some of them were assigned to his detail. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the person behind them. And here's what Senator Hawley has found out. That person isn't a Secret Service agent. So what the literal F were they doing around Trump? If you're not a Secret Service agent and you haven't gone through the training, then I don't really care who you are, how tall you are, if you have courage or not. What are you doing there? What are you doing on stage? Apparently this was a Department of Homeland Security investigator. If that sounds like a person whose professional job, 365 days a year, is to get their fingers jammed up inside of the vending machines, inside of the DHS building, to get their Cheetos out and do more paperwork with their cheesy little fingers, then yeah. This person is LARPing. Live action role playing. They're a live action role player. You ever seen Comic-Con? Comic books? People go dress up their favorite comic book characters? That's what this person is doing. She's live action role playing for fun, being a Secret Service agent, when really what she does is do paper pushing inside of DHS. She gets to put on a little suit and an earpiece and run out there. Couldn't even holster her gun. Remember that? Yeah. These are the people that they surrounded Trump with. A little strange that, isn't it? Just so happens to be like that event. Trump walks into the RNC. I don't know if we have that clip, but it's pretty famous. Maybe you can, maybe we can grab it up. But like Trump walks into the RNC, which is the first time we saw Trump on camera after getting hit with the bullet. And you can notice a slightly different timbre of Secret Service agent. Donald Trump, shockingly, after surviving the assassination, was surrounded by actual Secret Service agents. It's just for it's just inside of the, the empty killing field, kill box, that they surround Donald Trump with the Lady Ghostbusters. Yeah, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, what else? It turns out that there were no drones being used that day either. Something that Hawley has investigated and found. OverWatch is a term that snipers use. I don't mean to talk down to you. If you're somebody who with a tactical experience, I simply mean to explain it the way that I like things explained to me. I'm a Labrador Retriever, right? Like just explaining things slowly. I do not have military training, and so Overwatch is, of course, making sure that you have the highest position in any field of battle. This is important and obviously something that is needed because if you have a high position, you can look down on any threat. You can neutralize any threat. Bullets actually travel faster when they travel with gravity. There are so many reasons that you can come up with, just dummies like me can come up with, to tell you, yes, we should have the highest position in the county. And the highest position, of course, in the county was the water tower. This is the footage. This is what it looked like from the water tower. The scandal is not that there was a shooter on the water tower. It's that there wasn't a shooter on the water tower. You can see how nicely this water tower would have provided overwatch of the entire rally. You should have had personnel up there, spotters and snipers. The professional snipers we traveled with looked at that water tower with their jaws agape and said that is the biggest scandal of the entire day. That water tower did not have somebody looking down to see Thomas Crooks. And of course, you can see in this building, geometrically, you can see in the building right there on the right-hand side of your screen, that's the building that the assassin fired from. You can actually see the blood stain on the building if you look at the part of the building that's been washed off recently. How easy of a shot would that have been? Why wasn't there somebody up there? Why was the threat assessment team turned away? Why was the sniper teams that the Secret Service normally use replaced with locals? Why were the Secret Service agents replaced with paper pushers from inside of DHS that couldn't even take a flight of stairs? Why? Very important questions. If you're not going to have a sniper team, at the very least, have drone teams. We have very sophisticated drone. Listen, guys, we filmed this with a drone. I'll let the clip play for you. We filmed this with our drone. We're just dudes, you know? We're just dudes. We don't have military training. We don't have the best drones in the world. We don't have the best drones that money can buy. Super sophisticated special drones with all the gadgets and gizmos. Everything that you could possibly want. Infrared and flying and tracking and pinning. The military has drones that can do capabilities that we probably don't even know right now. This is just your basic run-of-the-mill, off-the-market drone. Flown by us, who are just a team of dudes. Look at how beautifully you could have tracked and seen the entire rally. Look at this. This is our footage. Look at how beautifully you could have seen everything at this rally. Look at this. So you could have tracked. I know we did fly over the AGR building. We don't have that clip loaded. That's okay. You could have just tracked Thomas Crooks. You could just put a drone on him. But the Secret Service, according to Josh Hawley, nope. They said, just for fun, this one rally, this one time, we're not going to fly any drones. And also, we're not going to let local law enforcement fly any drones. Now, why the F would that be? Sorry I get too excited about this, but these are things you deserve to know the truth. Here's Josh Hawley's letter on that. Senator Hawley says that the whistleblowers tell me not only that the Secret Service refused to fly drones, but also they refused to let local law enforcement fly drones. Bro, are you even alive right now? Hello? Anybody there? If you're disallowing local law enforcement to fly drones, it means you want something bad to happen. You don't want Overwatch. You want the worst to possibly happen. These are some of the revelations from Senator Hawley. Don't mean to spend too much time on it, but it is important in relation to what we're going to talk about next, which is, have there been any improvements? Well, no. And according to the Secret Service, Trump's going to be assassinated again. I don't mean to be alarmist, but the Secret Service says Trump will be assassinated. Yeah. This is from Charlie Kirk, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie Kirk is a dear friend of the show and somebody who is, I've known for a long time professionally. He's a good dude, a good homie, and he's very close with President Trump. He's like a fourth son, right, to Donald Trump, as some have called him. Charlie Kirk hosts Donald Trump with regularity. Donald Trump goes to these large events, turning point or turning point action events. Donald Trump speaks at them to tens of thousands of people. Sometimes we're backstage for them, like we were a month ago. Before the assassination, we saw Donald Trump a month ago at the Detroit turning point action event. Very cool event. But I was like shocked at how I wasn't vetted by Secret Service, yet I was able to just kind of like wander around Donald Trump's SUV. This blew my mind. I'm a speaker at the event. I get it. I'm not sneaking in. I just spoke on stage. And Trump spoke 2 speakers after me. It was me, Don Jr., and then Donald Trump. That was the lineup for the event. It's awesome. Very fun. I get the people going, as they say. That's the goal. And so I'm walking off stage. I don't walk off stage and meet a Secret Service agent saying, the president's here. I'm going to escort you to the exit. You need to get out. This is a secure location. I like walk off stage to, well, President Trump, like kind of like standing there, and then the motorcade, like very loose, extremely loose security. It remarkable. And here's Charlie just a few days ago, and I don't pretend to be the world's expert on this stuff. I just see what I see. Charlie is the world's expert on this kind of stuff, and he says that after hosting President Trump for dozens of times, this past weekend was the most lax I've ever experienced the Secret Service. My entire staff and events team agrees. Nothing felt improved. If anything, security was more porous. No noticeable improvement since Butler. Instead, it seemed even more laid back. I've wrestled with whether or not to voice my concerns. I certainly don't want to inspire some crazy attempt or something evil, but reviewing the text messages from the Butler SWAT team, hearing the additional concerns from my friends, I got to say this publicly. If we keep President Trump, we must keep President Trump safe. If that's augmenting his security detail with private security, sounding the alarm right here, there are brave and honorable agents in the Secret Service, but Trump legitimately needs more manpower as soon as possible. That came on the same day that this happened. This is horrifying. Secret Service agent says Trump's going to be assassinated. We've read this entire letter, and so let me summarize it for you. If you wish to find it, here's where it broke, and the account that it broke from, Susan Crabtree, who's done excellent reporting on this. This is from a 30-year technician and officer, Secret Service counter sniper, and Marine. And this guy's done 20 years in the Secret Service as a counter sniper. And what he says in this deleted email is, we're going to get Trump killed. And in the next 30 days, there's going to be an assassination attempt on President Trump. Because of our weakness, because of our failures, we've shown how easy it would be, and it's going to happen next. It's just alarming. Bone-chilling, actually, is what this man says. Why was Donald Trump allowed on stage? This is so incredibly important. President Trump was allowed on stage and was allowed to stay on stage in the midst of all of these security threats. President Trump was allowed to stay on stage, even though they had a guy walking around waving a waving a firearm, AR-15, platform at people. I don't know if we have, do we have that clip of him actually brandishing the firearm and showing it to people? Who's from Fox News? There we go. Let's go. Right here. This was allowed to happen. Donald Trump was allowed to stay on stage given the environment that was so unsafe that the gunman was pointing his firearm as he lumbered across he was pointing his firearm at the rally goers, then at the police, and no one took Trump off stage. This was minutes before he fired his shots.
At one point, Thomas Crooks points his rifle at the eyewitness and those rally goers. This is what he told us about security on that day.
Definitely wasn't secure. I'm actually ex-military. One of the first things I noticed when we walked up, I'm like, none of us have been vetted. We're all along the fence. We all have view of the stage.
This is the worst piece of evidence. We can show you all the security schematics. We can show you all the problems that led up to the event itself. We can show you all the failures. But the most damning piece of evidence was that President Trump, the protectee, was allowed to stay on stage. There were agents that are great Secret Service agents there, standing there beside President Trump. We are not trying to come for those agents. They literally shielded President Trump's body when the bullets started flying. However, there is a Secret Service command center, and this is what's a black box to all of us. And inside of that black box is the mysteries of the universe in this scenario. There is a Secret Service command center that was running those operations. You know, the agents have their little earpieces. They have to go do what they're told. Now, in a live fire situation, they have to jump into their training, right? Can't wait for orders. But someone in that command center said, keep Trump on stage. Somebody in that command center said, in spite of the fact that there is a gunman on the roof, can we play the clip one more time? Gunman on the roof. In spite of the fact there's a man with a firearm leering about, pointing at Trump. This was from 6:08. Donald Trump was shot at 6:11. Keep him on stage. Keep Trump there. Keep Trump on stage. At what point must you tie everything back to that command center and say, somebody gave the stand down order? Somebody said, no, we're going to let the assassin in. We're going to keep the protectee standing there with his giant red hat. Donald Trump's a very big man. If you've ever met Donald Trump, he's a large man. He takes up takes up some space. We're going to leave him right there in this position, which is level 1 of duck hunt for target practice. 6:08, this footage was filmed. People from the ground filming him, police surrounding him. This is incredible from this week as well. Cell phone footage. This was a 9.5-minute video that was released. Cell phone footage of police surrounding Thomas Crooks. This is from this is people gathering, watching Thomas Crooks. I think they zoom in here. There you go. You can see Thomas Crooks lumbering about the building. You see the blob? You can see him lumbering on top of the roof. And then here, ladies and gentlemen, we have the police actually surrounding Thomas Crooks. They had him surrounded. Local law enforcement. This was before the shots ring out. Chillingly, 1 minute before the shots ring out. And Trump is allowed to remain on stage. Incredible. Truly. Why? Maybe you look at this cop right there, right? You look at the cop and you go, hey, why did this cop not call it in? Maybe that guy's the problem. Where were the cops? Maybe the local law enforcement were being stupid. We'll get a load of this. Here's what local law enforcement tell us about their communications with the Secret Service. And an important reminder, this is not their jurisdiction anymore. Secret Service has full jurisdictional authority. They tell the cops where to go and what to do. The cops can, there are lines of protocol that the cops can engage in, but they must get Secret Service to answer every single call. The president's life's at stake, right? They're in charge, right? Yeah. Well, how are you supposed to figure out what to do if the line has been cut? I don't have a pair of scissors. Not trying to be dramatic. Okay, the line's been cut. what are you supposed to do if you can't contact the Secret Service? You're going to create chaos and no one's going to do anything. And the shooter's going to shoot, which is exactly what local law enforcement have said. Watch.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
You had no communication with the Secret Service? Bro, like, are you hearing what I'm hearing? Secret Service put all local law enforcement in a black box. They ushered in Thomas Crooks to a sniper position. Then when they surrounded Thomas Crooks, they made sure that the local cops didn't have any overwatch, didn't have any authority to go after him, could do nothing but contain him. And then they watched Thomas Crooks wobble along, lumber along the rooftop with a firearm, looking at Trump, lining up his shot at Trump. And no one did anything. Oh, man. Okay. Well, what do you get when you add those data points all together? What do you get? What do you get? You have to look at who was at the top, who was making the decisions, and what were they deciding? These people were deciding to put Donald Trump in a kill box. This Ronald Rowe, who is now the director acting of the Secret Service, he probably needs to be criminally investigated, along with his boss, Kim Cheadle. Here we go.
Acting director of the Secret Service told Congress under oath that his agency didn't cut resources from Trump's detail.
If you're talking about Butler, Pennsylvania, all assets requested were approved. If you're talking about the media reporting of assets requested, there were times when assets were unavailable and not able to be filled, and those gaps were staffed with state and local law enforcement tactical assets.
That's a lie, period. And lying to Congress is a felony. A Secret Service whistleblower is telling Senator Hawley that guy personally directed that Secret Service agents who do threat assessments at events be cut. The whistleblower says those agents should have been at Trump's Butler rally doing threat assessments, and they were cut by that Secret Service director, Ronald Rowe. Some of these Secret Service threat assessment agents had been warning about security problems for months leading up to the Butler rally, but were ignored. Why? If those agents were at the Butler rally, Crooks would have been in cuffs the second he was spotted with the rangefinder.
That's right. There is one thing that I cannot get out of my mind, and it keeps me awake at night. And it is the fact that we know more than the director of the Secret Service, acting director of the Secret Service, Ronald Rowe. We know more. Why? Well, because we want to know more. Because we just simply booked a commercial airline flight to Butler, Pennsylvania, picked up a couple of members of Congress on the way, and went. We know more because we actually try to know more. Now, the Secret Service is trying to cover up some of the largest problems here, like, did Donald Trump request more Secret Service protection? We have a tweet for that. I don't think it's in the script, but the Secret Service spokesperson lied to the American people and got a fat community note, which is like a big fact check on X, saying that President Trump didn't ask for more protection. In fact, President Trump has asked for more protection. This is just one of the demonstrable lies that the Secret Service has told the American public to cover their asses. What does it say about the toxic culture of this agency when their spokespeople are lying to the American public? What does it say? Ladies and gentlemen, look at this. It's untrue assertion out there that members of the former president's team, this is the Secret Service spokesperson, the government account, official, gray check mark. This has now been confirmed as false. The U.S. Secret Service now confirmed that they did, in fact, receive requests for additional resources, former President Trump's security detail, which were denied. Why would they deny this? Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, was put into a kill box. This is blatantly obvious to us. And here, again, is the thing that keeps me up at night, is that we know more than the Secret Service does. I'll show you this view from a window. This is a second floor window of the AGR building. You've seen this clip before on our program. This footage was taken by Congressman Eli Crane. Congressman Eli Crane went up to the sniper nest that was set up for the local Butler police. So the county police had a sniper inside of this room. The reason I can't get over this is because this is the only person that would have had the backside view of Thomas Crooks as he scampered across the building. The warehouse here is a series of interconnected buildings where Thomas Crooks, who's not particularly athletic or smart, was wandering, was neandering across in such an obvious manner that people could just film him with their cell phones. He was waving his firearm around. Where is the Secret Service sniper? And I say Secret Service sniper because the Secret Service put them in this position. Where were they? That's the easiest shot in the world to get Thomas Crooks. So if you're not going to have OverWatch, if you're not going to have somebody on the water tower, if you're not going to have drones, at the very least, you can have somebody right here. Where was the 3-man SWAT team that was stationed right there? Now, this is something that Acting Director Rowe, began his commentary on in front of the Senate this week, allegedly trying to blame local law enforcement for their failures. Yet, our sources on the ground tell us that these snipers abandoned their post. They abandoned their post. Somebody allowed them to leave that location. Either allowed them or told them to leave that location. This is why we must find out what happened in the black box of the Secret Service Command Center. Were these guys ordered to stand down? Were they sent on some little mission through the building at the exact time that Thomas Crooks needed to line up his shot here? I will have, please frame this in your mind, this image. And now, can we go back to the shooter lumbering across the rooftop with President Trump? Look at how much time this guy had on the roof. It's not just like the snipers were gone for 30 seconds. This guy was on the rooftop for minutes on end. Minutes on end. There's a little bit of gray area in how long he exactly had on the roof, but at least 3 to 4 minutes. So this sniper nest was unoccupied for 3 to 4 minutes. Who gave the stand down order? That's enough time to go grab a cup of coffee. Who gave the stand down order? Who said evacuate the one position that could save the president? Who did that? You know, to find that out, you'd assume that the Secret Service would call the local police and would coordinate with them, talk with them, and figure out exactly who made the wrong decisions. But that hasn't happened.
Not only did Secret Service cut these special agents for Trump's Butler rally, the Secret Service hasn't even called the locals who were providing backup that day.
Secret Service has never talked to any of our people either before the rally that day or to this moment, has ever talked to us in regards to what our actions were that day. Secret Service has not talked to us at all about the incident.
You've not talked directly to the Secret Service, then Director Cheadle, Acting Director Ronald Rowe. They've not reached out to you, neither one of them.
None of them.
They're doing an investigation into an attempted assassination, and the Secret Service hasn't even called the locals. Not even out of curiosity. Like, what the hell happened, guys? That's evidence of a cover-up.
There we go. Evidence of a cover-up, baby. We got to get to the bottom of this. I'm telling you, I think if the poll, I think they're going to try and kill Trump again. I think I'm repeating what the whistleblower is saying inside the Secret Service, but it's become quite clear if you add up all the evidence that this operation, nothing has improved, and that this was a failed operation, and who knows what happens next. Donald Trump is going back to Butler. Is that wise? I don't know. He's going back to Butler. Will we be there? Probably. Probably. Will we go up there and travel with him? We've flown on Trump's plane with him before to rallies. Maybe we'll do that again. And we'll do like a full special on this. Josh Hawley asking the Secret Service director who directed President Trump's security team to not do site assessments and to have gaping holes in their security, asked by Senator Hawley, what the hell were you doing that day? And have you fired anybody for this? And his answer is, no, all the people responsible for the failures at the Trump rally are currently doing Trump rallies. Do you see why we're a little scared and paranoid on this program? Here we go.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include.
Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it.
Are you going to do something about it? Is anybody going to do anything about this? Does anybody ever suffer any consequences in Washington, D.C. for their failures, their fatal failures? Somebody who has served as a sniper in SEAL Team 3, somebody who was the lead sniper in his platoon, a man who has been shot at in wartime, and a man who has shot back successfully is the great Congressman Eli Crane of Arizona. Eli Crane, fresh off of visiting the Butler assassination site now multiple times, joins the program live now. Congressman, let me first congratulate you on your primary win and your successful rebuff of a establishment that wishes to find seemingly nothing about the Trump assassination plot. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks for having me, Benny. I appreciate being on with you, man.
Yeah. So just from a tactical perspective, even when we were in Butler a week ago, there's been so much new information that has come to light. And since we were on the rooftop with the snipers position that the Secret Service snipers had, and we were looking at the roof line, we spoke about how potentially that could be a hard shot if Thomas Crooks was laying on his belly and was crawling and was trying to keep a very low profile. But here I have for your view and for the audience view, the actual Thomas Crooks full body, head and torso and firearm shot from the general direction of the sniper position. Sniper position would actually have a better direction here for Overwatch. I just want to get, first off, your take on this clip, because clearly Thomas Crooks was showing himself to the sniper position of the Secret Service, and they did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this video and more that are going to come out just show, what a complete failure and disaster this was. And I think many of us have known that from the start. But it goes back through, and we have so many questions of why this rally was even held at that site in the first place. Benny, when you and I and Corey Mills were up on that counter sniper roof, the barn behind the president, I was going through, I don't know if you remember, with my laser rangefinder, and I was just ranging all the buildings in and around the site. And it definitely makes me wonder who did the advance work for this site. who signed off on it saying, hey, this is a good idea and we can execute our no fail mission to keep the president safe, knowing that we don't have enough bodies to cover all of these threats out there. And I mean, that's one of the first questions that has to be answered, Benny.
Who did plan all of this? It falls at the feet of the Secret Service. We're learning that the acting director right now is the man who pulled away resources from the site, including the threat mitigation team. We're not allowed to be at the site. Well, what does that tell you?
Right. The same guy saying, you know, it was a huge failure and we'll get to the bottom of it. I think that as this goes on, we're going to find actually had, you know, a real hand in how much resources, how much protection President Trump got, and just the operational, you know, run of show, you know, day in, day out execution of the Secret Service. And so, you know, I'm sure nobody watching your show has any faith in the federal government or the Secret Service investigating itself. Probably don't have a lot of faith in the FBI doing it. And I doubt, quite frankly, after we saw the names on the task force and that the fact that that was political, and I know firsthand it was political because myself and Corey Mills didn't get put on it. And when I was given excuse from leadership, the excuse I got was, well, you know, we had to, you know, put people on from, you know, every little group, so there wasn't any complaining. And it just goes to show that that was political. Therefore, it leads you to rationally believe that the witnesses called will be political, the findings will be political, and what's released to the American people will, of course, from Washington, be political. And that's why I'm glad that you took the time to go out with myself and Corey, Benny, because I think just one advantage we have is just like with COVID and some of the other big, you know, things happening around the world. Oftentimes now it's just regular Americans going out and doing their own homework, doing their own investigation, and then putting it on, you know, the countless different, you know, channels and shows online. I think that's the best way for us to get to the bottom of what happened.
You can see some of the B-roll here playing. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll go along for the ride with these two exceptional members of Congress who are tactical experts. Here's Eli Crane laying on the roof in the exact sniper position. This is the exact position right here. And the congressmen lay down and get in that sniper position and are asking the real questions. How many investigators have you seen do this? And this is a real problem because in Washington, D.C., it seems like congressmen, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems like they don't want to know the truth. Maybe the truth is a little too uncomfortable. Why would that be?
Well, I mean, you know, how many investigators have you seen do that, let alone wear red pants while doing it? I mean, come on, Benny. Were those pants not legit or what, man? Come on.
Yeah, I guess if the red pants and you know, red hat that Donald Trump was wearing, I guess Donald Trump, nobody knows where the bloodstained red MAGA hat is. He's been offered $10 million for it. I hope it goes into a museum someday. I'm not sure if your red pants will make it, Congressman, but we'll see. So what was some of the more alarming things that you found when you were on site at Butler?
Well, the biggest thing that was alarming, you know, obviously the site being chosen, somebody signed off on that site saying, hey, we can do this mission from here. And as this goes on, you know, I heard Eric Prince on Sean Ryan's show say that Jill Biden got 3 times the protection that President Trump did at an indoor venue in Pittsburgh that same day. So the fact that somebody on Secret Service signed off on this rally taking place there when there was way too many structural threats, way too many rooftops, way too many trees. That's something that nobody even looked at. That forest that was right behind the water tower, Benny, hunters get in trees all the time in tree stands. Nobody's even looked at that, right? And, you know, so there's that, just it being held there is one of the most alarming things. But I've been screaming about this for a long time. Why the hell wasn't anybody in that damn water tower, Benny? I mean, I almost guarantee you, Benny, not one person from the local SWAT teams or the Secret Service got up in that water tower, which was the highest structure on that entire property. You know, my team actually did, you know, a little map, you know, drawing on it to see which structures were within 1,000 yards of that water tower, which almost every military and law enforcement sniper is trained out to at least 1,000 yards. And almost every building that you and I were looking at, ranging, talking about, pointing out, was within 1,000 yards from that water tower. And so why nobody got up there to, take a look at what the fields of view were and possibly had counter sniper team up there is one of the biggest concerns I have. Because here's another thing, Benny. I told you that
Please.
if somebody would have got up in that water tower, not only would Crooks not have been able to, run around that roof like we've now seen him in video, he wouldn't have made it halfway up that building if somebody was in that water tower. But the other thing about security, Benny, is that deterrence is one of the biggest factors. And what I mean by that is sometimes you'll see law enforcement just park a police car in a neighborhood that doesn't even have an officer in it because it's a deterrent, and it makes people think, oh, maybe there's a cop in there. I saw a police car. Yeah, let's move on to another neighborhood, right? Or some people put security cameras on their house that aren't even activated because it's a deterrent. If you have a couple big Secret Service agents with long guns on a water tower, and you're Thomas Crooks, and you're thinking about killing the president, and you see those guys, and there's no corner, no rooftop you can go to where you don't see those guys, you're probably going to go home without trying to take a shot at the president, because you're about to get killed without even trying to even having a chance to execute your mission. So deterrence is a big part of it, and that water tower would have had some of the biggest deterrence had they put somebody up there with long guns.
Do you think there's criminal liability here? A man's killed. President Trump took a bullet to the head. Clearly, so many of the protocols were not followed. For instance, we led the show off with some of the whistleblower testimony that just broke this morning about how the guys with rangefinders on the outside of presidential events, they just get put in handcuffs automatically, right? Like when you're behaving suspiciously, the police just simply detain you, and they can. And they do that to protect. And here you have Thomas Crooks banging up against, he tried to get into the rally. He flew a drone over the rally. He's behaving erratically. Security experts that we talked to that day said that he was behaving like an Antifa member. He looked like an Antifa member. He had the rangefinder. He was lumbering around the building. Why did nobody put him in handcuffs?
That's a good question, and it's one that many of us have. And at this point, Benny, I'm just hoping that with enough of us looking at this, trying to get to the bottom of it, my biggest goal right now is to make sure that there's such reform done in the Secret Service that this can never happen again to any other candidate, any president, regardless of what party. And I'll be shocked if, based on what I see in Washington and the fact that you were talking about before I came on, is there ever any accountability in Washington? I feel like it's very rare if it does happen at all. And so that's my goal right now, to make sure that we put such intense pressure on the Secret Service, anybody that was involved in decision making, that serious reforms are done to make sure that this can never happen again.
I know this is a bit of a loaded question, and it's a tough one, but do you believe that these are just incompetencies that added up, or do you believe that there's malevolence behind it for the president specifically? The reason why I asked is that the whistleblower this morning said that there was retaliation for service members in the Secret Service that said, hey, these President Trump rallies are going to get someone killed. And they were retaliated against Secret Service leadership. There seemed to be a culture that was trying to set something up or design a system to fail.
Yeah, well, so I think that anybody that goes into any investigation with a pre-baked conclusion is a complete fool. And so I'm open to, just following where the facts lead. And Benny, I don't, as you do and the rest of your audience does, I don't just look at the events and the incompetence and the failure of J13 and what took place in Butler. I also look at motive. I look at the things and the things that were said and how the media and the Democrat Party for years now have tried to brand Donald Trump as Adolf Hitler and Caesar, and the justification of why he needs to be taken out, and all the things that President Biden and others said as a dog whistle to basically justify somebody getting rid of this guy. And so I can't detach that from what happened on J13 when I look at this issue holistically. All right. Because you hear people say all the time, well, if you knew who Adolf Hitler was going to become before he rose to power and started trying to execute Jews and started the largest world war in the history of the world, would you have killed him? And most people will say yes, I would have, to rid the world of that. And so you understand what they're doing when they constantly try to call Donald Trump Hitler. We cannot forget that. We can't detach, some onus and responsibility from those that, were escalating the rhetoric, which I believe did play a part in, in this entire thing. Now, did Crooks act alone? I don't know that we know that yet. Is it possible that he acted alone? It's possible. But it is hard to believe that a 20-year-old kid acting on his own was able to go there, fly a drone for a half hour, whatever it was, do, recon there, and then get within 150 yards of the president with an AR-15 and get off, however many shots he got off, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it was. It is hard to believe that, especially when you look at the fact that he had advanced explosives on him, a remote detonator on him. It is hard to believe that. And it's also hard to believe that he bested a 20-year-old kid with no training, bested the Secret Service. Now, I don't know what's scarier, Benny. If a 20-year-old kid did best the Secret Service with acting on his own, that might actually be more alarming than if he was working in coordination, with foreign actors or other people that just wanted to see the former president dead. And this is something that we all have to think about. If a 20-year-old kid by himself was able to do that, let's say a team from, of let's say ISIS sent, 10 or 15 guys over here, with instructions to try and take out the president in coordination. Actual guys with military combat experience, and working in tandem, working together. How well do you think that would go down based on what you saw of the Secret Service a couple Saturdays ago in Pennsylvania?
I think thousands of people would be dead if they wanted it. I believe that. I've seen it,
Exactly.
and I have the evidence.
And Benny, that's one of the scariest things about all of this, because we're sitting here as Americans watching this. We think in isolation, but that's not what's going on. You have everyone around the world that's wanted to see the United States, and especially the strongman Donald Trump, be drugged through the streets somewhere, and dead and killed. And they're watching this and they're thinking to themselves, wow, that was easy. That's his security. Okay, game on. That's what they're thinking.
So, how do we solve it? You and Corey Mills have stood up your own investigation after being kept off by the establishment of what the congressional investigation. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity, Congressman, to talk about that investigation, the status of it, and where it's headed.
Yeah, so this isn't personal for me at all. Benny, I told you that when we were headed out to the site that me and Corey, remember me telling you that me and Corey were not going to be on this task force? Do you remember me saying that? You remember why I said that?
I do.
Okay. Well, for your audience, I knew that I wouldn't be on it, just because I know how Washington works. Everything's political. But at the end of the day, this little task force, regardless of what people think, this little, parallel investigation that Corey and I and others are going to be working on, it's not in competition. It's to augment. It's like I said, it is to make sure that this never happens again. And because this task force is political, I've been told it's political.
Sorry about that.
We have to make sure this doesn't happen again. And so we're gonna be bringing in some very heavy hitters, some big names that can help us get to the bottom of this, bring in expertise. that is going to be crucial in making sure that we get to the bottom of it, and we'll see where this comes out. We're also hoping that we can get some whistleblowers to come and talk to us. And at the end of the day, Benny, even if we provide a couple key witnesses or a couple key pieces of material that end up becoming a part of the bigger investigation, hey, that's fine with me. I don't need my name in headlines or anything like that. I just want to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yes. This should obviously be the drive of every American, but there are so many in the country that want to act like this never happened, forget about it entirely, censor it, ding your social media accounts for even talking about it. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. The things that they don't want you to talk about, those are the things we could scream from the rooftops. Thank you, Congressman, for going up on rooftops with us, and we will be releasing that documentary this weekend.
Thanks, Benny. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are a dog with a bone. We are not going to let go. Speaking of letting go, please don't let go if you're looking at the stock market this morning. please, no rash actions, all right? Like, it is a result of Kamalanomics, we're going to call it. Stock market in complete and total free fall this morning. The bubble seems to have burst, and erosion is beginning all across the world. Now, if you had invested with us and our friends at Allegiance Gold, you'd be doing just A-OK. Gold has hit all-time highs as of this morning as the stock market collapses into infinity. And so, well, maybe now's the time to listen to your boy, Benny. ProtectWithBenny.com today. Go to ProtectWithBenny.com today. My friends at Allegiance Gold will get you set up in something that, is skyrocketing upwards. And we've been predicting this for the better part of a couple years, saying that the wars, the debt, the fake economic numbers, they're all fake. Joe Biden's the worst jobs president in history, and Kamalanomics will be far worse. Invest in gold today. ProtectWithBenny.com. Call 888-844-66-BENNY. Protect your financial future. ProtectWithBenny.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Just since we covered it off the top, it's worth stating Kamala Harris threw Joe Biden directly into an electoral trash compactor and cravenly took his job and has been away from the cameras for a very, very long time. This happened 2 weeks ago. Seems insane, but it did. And Kamala Harris hasn't done a single interview or really made like a single statement since. No, she's such a coward. She hasn't taken a single question from reporters. For the first time since the coup occurred, the anti-democratic communist Kamala decided to approach a microphone without a script or a prompter, and the results were extremely cringy. Here we go.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
The significance of the significance of the significance of the significance. Call the debate now. Demand the debate now. Trump, demand it now. Go and demand Kamala Harris debate you immediately, please. Now I'm totally in favor of the debate. There's a reason why Joe Biden performed the way he did in a debate with Donald Trump. It's because Joe Biden yesterday decided to just wander off for some reason into a plane. What they were doing is they were welcoming back American hostages. That's a good thing. They were welcoming back these American hostages that were sent back from Russia. Rick Grinnell was on the program yesterday saying, we got to watch out for what this might mean abroad, but whatever. Generally a net positive to get hostages back. These guys come off their little plane, right? And then Joe Biden does this. So the hostages are all back. They're taking photos with the press. Joe Biden decides that he is going to enter the hostage plane. So Biden just wanders up into the hostage plane by himself. What the literal, huh? So Biden just, does he think this is Air Force One? There is no explanation for this. The plane is empty. The hostages just came off. And Joe Biden just assumes that maybe this is Air Force One. This is his bed. He's going to bed. Truly a absolutely remarkable moment. President Trump's campaign says they have raised $140 million in July. That is a big boost, and has $327 million on hand. So we want to make sure we kick you off into the weekend with some good news, and that is our good news for the day. Trump campaign raising records in the month of July. So, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our wonderful Ask Benny Anything. We thank you for signing up for the Benny Brigade. Please sign up for the Benny Brigade. You get to ask Benny anything. Here we go, every Friday. From Rosie. Why has nobody brought Mayorkas in for questioning people testifying before the Senate and Congress? They should be fired for lying and trying to cover up the truth. Thanks for all you do, Benny. Thank you, Rosie. You're exactly right. The person in charge of the Secret Service is Mayorkas. There's nobody who wants Donald Trump to go away, let's just say, more than Secretary Mayorkas. This man stands to not only lose his job, but probably face the rest of his life in prison if Donald Trump becomes president, because you can charge him with 10 million counts of human trafficking and child smuggling. I would argue, and I know this puts a chill down my spine, and it does yours, but I would argue that actually Secretary Mayorkas potentially is the most damaging and evil bureaucrat, even above Dr. Fauci. I think even above Dr. Fauci. I think there's a great argument to be made that the lasting damage to the country is going to be worse with what Mayorkas has done than what Joe Biden has done. Than what Fauci has done. Forgive me. Fauci and Mayorkas obviously both of them work for Biden. So, the nexus there obviously ends with Biden. But who's the worst federal bureaucrat? Is it Mayorkas or is it Fauci? You're right, though, Rosie. Mayorkas should have a ton of bricks from Congress or an oversight come down on him. He should be answering the questions here, not a bunch of cutouts from the Secret Service. Angela says, I've been listening to you for a while. I joined the Betty Brigade. Hard work. It's not going to notice. You did an amazing job. Thank you for all the media and your work at the Butler site. My husband and I watched the video at the Butler site and know that you and your staff did amazing work. You're a gentleman and a scholar. God bless you. Sorry, no question. Just big thank you. Well, thank you, Angela. It's our duty to you and to this audience to go out and to do the investigation that the corporate media refuses to do because they don't know, they're not going to like the answers, right? It's our duty. And we're here to serve you. We're here to serve the chat. We love the chat. I'm looking at the chat. I look at the chat literally the entire. This is one of 7 devices I have for 7 different chats in front of me. I live in the chat. We are live. That's the chat. We love you. Who chose the site in Pennsylvania for the Trump rally? Says Donna Thompson. Donna Thomason. Great question. The black box. That is the black box we have to get into. The black box of the decision, where the decisions were made and who allows it. The reality is, Donna, that President Trump can ask for a lot of things, but President Trump is not allowed to demand that rallies take place wherever he wants them. That's clearly not how this works. It's not how any of this works. Like, the Trump team and President Trump himself is at the mercy of what the Secret Service allows him to do. The Secret Service can say no, and they have jurisdiction. And so President Trump, if he wishes to do protected rallies, must get Secret Service permission. So who gave him the permission? It's a great question, Donna, and a very good one. And we are set on finding that answer for you. We're doing everything we possibly can with the meager resources of this program and the team of just dudes, okay, with cameras. We're doing the best that we possibly can to be the little pirate ship, the brigade, the team, the crack team that can go out and actually answer these questions, because no one else will. These corporate media companies that are publicly traded, that have billions of dollars, that are worth billions of dollars, Have you seen any real investigation into this? Have you seen anybody actually like travel the site and like with intention? We're thankful for ABC News. ABC News did actually go out there and talk to the law enforcement officers, and that clip we play regularly. But absent that, like, we have not seen a muscular effort to find the truth here. And so, well, you know what? There is a changing of the guard happening right now. And if you wish to be a part of it, join the Betting Brigade. You can join the Betting Brigade for $55 a month. Not a month, a year. Sorry about that. $5 a month, $55 a year. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason for this, you know what? Like, we're going to do it. We're going to like actually go out and we're going to create the hybrid of media that will carry forward in the next generation. We're already seeing, we're already beating most corporate media numbers on the platforms that we publish on. We are getting more views and more concurrence, and it's because of you. And so if you wish to support that mission and you wish to support our team, please sign up. I also know what it's like to be dead broke. So if you can't in this Biden economy, I also understand that, and we thank you for watching. We do. How do you know we are thankful for you? Because we end every single show with the good news, verse of the day, from 2 Corinthians. For though I walk in the flesh, we are not waging a war by the flesh. The weapons of our warfare are not the flesh. We have divine power to destroy strongholds. These are the kind of verses that get the people going. We are not fighting a war between red and blue, Republican, Democrat. We're not fighting against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. We're fighting against evil itself, the nature of evil that has always existed and that predates, obviously, any of and the country itself, right? Human existence, and good and salt and light. And that is what we represent on this program, salt and light. And so we will fight, and the way that we'll fight is to stay centered, just keep our heads up, and to stay centered on what is true, and that is that there is one Savior. His name is Jesus Christ, and that he is the Son of God, and that the victory will be ours. And so that's it, right? And victoriously, I encourage you to step into this weekend and these days of summer, these dog days of summer, and enjoy this, the greatest country on earth. It is your boy, Benny. We have a brand new song for you. Here we go. Enjoy. Have a happy weekend. Godspeed.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.